Hey guys, how is it going? Jatin here with Rockgrow. I hope you have already watched the part 1 of consultative selling that talks about the key difference between consultative selling and product selling. Consultative selling is something that you have to do, product selling is something that you're currently doing, and you must not follow the principle of product selling. To better understand what is difference between consultative and product selling, please watch day 1. If you've already watched it, let's proceed with this particular video session. So guys, before we start this video, let me share some of the screenshot messages that I have been using in my own LinkedIn outreach game. So guys, before I share those messages with you, let me give you a quick context about me again. So I work with the HR tech industry as a full-time employee. We're in the sales and business development department, and basically we sell solutions around the employee improving employee engagement and employee experience within the organization. So basically, before outreaching to Sagar, I came across an article that's a demand generating and a research articles by Fairwork, where they have rated House Joy. Sagar is basically the HR head of House Joy. Fairwork has rated them basically at a very low score, 2 out of 10. So I took a strong reference point in outreach to Sagar. Now here again, you need to focus that I never sold my company services. I basically try to become an informer. If you can recall our product selling versus consultative selling approach, product selling all about the product. Consultative, become an informer. So I tried sharing with him some of the usual useful stuff being covered by companies like Forbes, companies like Gartner, and then I'm waiting for a response. So currently he is acting like an observer. But if you see in the similar scale, I outreached to Rashmi as well, and if you see, she responded. She said that send out the details to my email, then we connect on a Zoom session as well, and that call has already been happened. Next again as well, if you see with this particular person, I reach out to her in the personalized note. In the personalized note, instead of saying that, I reviewed your profile, looks interesting, let's connect. Instead of that, I actually reviewed her profile and then listed the top factors that can, basically prompt her to accept my connection request. Next we have, this is the conversion, where I again followed the same approach that I followed with Sagar as well. Knowledge sharing. In this case, it worked out and we already had a call with this person. Again, guys, the point that I'm trying to put here is always be a knowledge sharing person whenever you are outraging someone to social platform. You can't close the deal by again and again sharing the information about your product, services, benefits, pricing, when you don't even know whether there is a need or not. Okay, so keep on sharing some useful stuff, and then to keep a multi touch point, always have their phone numbers and email IDs handy with you. Next we have, guys, let me give you a formula to better frame your consultative sales strategy. Make sure you have all the listed points handy with you. First one we have is understand the value proposition associated with your product. What I mean by this, so the value that your product is basically delivered to your existing clients and the ROI that has been associated with it, you must have complete information about it. Next, we have what all the pain points your product is solving for your current customer and for your could solve for your new customers as well. You must have a detailed information about this. If you have a good understanding of the first and second point, then the third point, that is framing some qualification questions around the pain points and relevant ICP criteria, becomes very easy. What I mean by ICP? ICP is ideal client profile. So you must have a ICP criteria for every client as well. Next we have basically, before jumping on any of the second level call or a demo session, make sure you have the client testimonials ready with you and the sort of a ROI that you have delivered to them ready with you, which are relevant to that customer with whom you would be having a call. For example, that customer comes from a telecommunication industry and you have already worked with a customer who is in the telecommunication. So share some client testimonials, the ROI that you have delivered to them. Last point we have is gather some demand generating articles from authenticated sources. Instead of sharing something that you yourself has written and you will think that prospect will realize the need, no. Authenticated sources are like the highly reputed websites, like some media website could be taken into example, like Gartner, like EY, like Accenture, so the top players who have written the articles, so that could act as a perfect demand generating article. Okay, so guys, I hope now everything is clear that consultative selling always focus on either identifying the need or creating the need, because it happens sometime, that the prospect don't know that the need of your product is there in the organization. So your evaluation question focus on the pain points, and your research that you did in the background should give you the answer whether the prospect need your product or not. If your product is not a good fit for the organization, then don't spend time with them, because first, this will waste your time and efforts. Second, if you ever sold the product to them, they may not be able to get the ROI out from it. Hence, this will result in negative word of mouth. So guys, in this particular slide, you must also understand the type of buyers to frame your outreach campaign. Now, while framing your consultative sales questions, categorize them based on the buyer that usually are of following types. First one we have is executives. They are basically the decision makers in terms of moving product ahead of the sales funnel to the technical and financial people. Focus your discussion with them by realizing them the need, by hitting their pain points. Share testimonials with them. Share some the ROI that you have delivered to your current customer. Your end objective while having a conversation with an executive level people should be demand generating, should be identifying the pain points and highlighting the pain points, should be to create the need. Okay, next we have is people coming from the technical background. They nothing to do with the need, because they already have a heads up from the executive people that there is a need. Hence, focus your conversation with them on the data driven approach. What sort of data analytics you will be requiring, what sort of technical integration requirements you would be requiring. Last we have is financial people. Their focus is basically on the cost saving approach. They know there is a need in the organization. They know that you fulfill the technical criteria as well. Their end question is, how much will this charge? There's an opportunity that you must have the documents handy with you, like the NDA, and then the payment mode to maybe accept the instant payment mode as well. Again, basically, frame your pitch according to the people to whom you had a conversation with. Now you guys might already been aware of a lot of benefits of consultative selling. Some of the top ones I have listed here. First one we have is it helps in understanding the need and also helps in consulting the client with the best solution. Example, they come with the one problem, but post consultation you make them realize that there exist two or three more problems for which you have the technological solution. Again, let's take an example of doctor's consultative sales approach. You went for a treatment of a pain in a specific body part. One approach the doctor can take is basically, give you a pain relief, medicine, and then go say you that this will basically definitely give you relief. Other consultative approach could be they will ask you to get some tests done, and then they will ask you some questions about your health conditions, some XYZ questions. What they are doing is trying to identify the problem statement in depth, and post they have the test reports with them, they have a strong reference point to recommend you but best for you. That might be costly but will give you permanent relief. Now you need to understand their consultative sales approach. They're trying to understand your pain points and also trying to realize your pain points by quoting the strong reference point, that is the test report that they have. This is what we need to do as well. Truth is, buyers usually don't know what all the problems exist in the organization, for which there is a technological solution exist. Hence, you need to educate them via consultative approach. That's the same way I did with Sagar, I did with Rashmi, I did with Lisa as well. Educate them. Next point we have is figure out the irrelevant inquiries. Sometimes it happen that buyers are generally not in a buying mood rather than in a exploring mood only. Hence, don't put on extra efforts on them. This will just result in dissatisfaction. Again, I'm not saying that those are not qualified leads. They are, but you need to nurture them. via follow-ups. Next we have is high-end sales closure. Well, when they know, yes, there is a need exists and you have a strong reference point as well. Now is the time to close the deal at a higher price. Okay. Next we have is, now let me tell you, basically all the steps that are basically involved in your consultative sales outreach strategy. All the points should be handy with you whenever you are, having a conversation with a person, a second level conversation. First point we have is research. Understand everything about the prospect from various sources, including their website, check out their LinkedIn page, check out their personal LinkedIn profile of the prospect with you would be having a conversation, read any recent news articles maybe related to the prospect or the company. This communicate that you want to understand who they are and what matters to them. Second we have is lead qualification. While doing research, you can easily realize whether it's worth to spend time with this deal or not. There is no benefit to waste either of your time or your prospect's time while knowing in advance that they are not a good fit. But if they follow your ICP criteria, they are your ideal client, then the next steps comes very handy. Next we have is personal connection. If you did a good research in the first point, then you can easily fill in the required details. That is, finding out a common point to initiate a healthy conversation. Best source to find this is by reviewing their LinkedIn profile and scanning through their activity feed. Again, by personal information, I don't mean that you start researching about their family or something personal that they don't want to discuss with an outsider. Next we have is what you need to do before jumping onto the product overview during the demonstration. So initiate the conversation by showing them the research that you did in the background, by sharing with them the knowledge that is of personal connection, then the company overview, maybe their business model, your understanding about the business model, their revenue model, any recent news that you come across, everything about them, personal connection about them, company overview about them, client testimonials coming from their industry, everything about them. Initiate the conversation in this manner. Next we have is evaluation phase, where you want to ask some quick question. These questions should center around evaluating prospect need and hitting the pain points by sharing the relevant solutions. Again, do not make a rush while presenting the solution. Rather, listen and proceed accordingly. There is no reason of showing them all of your product features, the XYZ features, if their need lies in the X feature. And if you can understand their need, their exact need, then the success story of closing the sale would be very easy. Next we have is consulting for only the best solution. Now enough of questions. You know their pain points and their company's vision as well. Now is the time to consult them with appropriate solution fulfilling their business goals. Again, the same should be done in consultative manner by addressing the need. Next we have is objection handling, very important. Handling objections during the demonstration is easy, as those are usually circle around the product that you have already answered to thousands of customers so many times. But getting objections like these, we will get back to you on this. I am not a decision maker authority on this. We do not have a budget for this quarter. This basically shows your poor research that you did in the background and your qualification question to identify the need. So make sure you are doing each and every pointer that we have discussed till now very seriously. Next we have is follow-up. Though consultative sales yields result 3x faster, but still follow-ups are a crucial part of sales. Ask your prospect for a good time to follow up and block their calendars. If they indicate a longer follow-up time, then instead of sharing emails like any update for me, share some demand generating articles with them from authenticated sources. Last one we have is closing sales. Well, consultative sales usually end up in sales. As per the study, consultative sales close deals 3x faster. Hence, you need to be prepared with NDA, any payment mode, any documents that is required to accelerate the process. Well, in the next coming slides, we will understand the type of pain points that usually exist in the industry with the buyers, and the key questions that you need to ask them to basically identify the need and highlight the pain point that exists in their organization.